Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of the Weeb Weekly. I am joined by the child himself, apparently. The chosen one, Yoda's progeny. Well, I guess not really. Jose, how we doing, my guy?
I'm doing good. Slightly jet lag. No, not jet lag because I drove for 3 hours. I did not.
Yep, I was going to say, Dallas is in the
Car.
same time zone.
Yes, I did a car transport. But yes, I feel good. I'm feeling happy. I'm very excited for the episode that we got today. Mizu, how you been, baby?
I've been doing good. I just celebrated me and my wife's anniversary the other day. So, yep. 4 years.
Damn.
4 years. Wow.
Yep.
A full
Ladies and
Olympic
gentlemen,
cycle.
get you a man like Mizu, monogamous king. My
full
goodness,
Olympic cycle.
Actually, yeah, wow. I mean, that's tying in well to the end there. Yeah, you guys met at the last. What was that? What was the last? Was that 2016 Sochi?
That was Brazil.
Yeah?
It was Brazil.
Brazil? Oh, yeah. Because like all the American swimmers got caught peeing somewhere or something. That was fun. America looked fantastic. Anyways, speaking of America looking fantastic, the biggest thing we have to talk about this week is the best superhero movie ever created. Suicide Squad came out, and if I'm being honest, I think Goofy undersold it. If we're being entirely fair, I think he undersold it. That movie was so much fun, so unapologetically itself, so unapologetically James Gunn. I'm going to come out and say it, James Gunn's best movie. I adored it. I had so much fun, and honestly, I was expecting it to be a situation where I loved it because I'm a big DC buff fan, and I figured like I was like, oh no, I hope Jose and Mizu like it, and I got both of texts from you, and you guys were like, that was incredible, and I was like, oh, thank God. It was like a weight off my own chest. So I mean, like I've kind of ruined the lead up here. But what'd you guys think?
Mizu, you want to start this one?
Sure. So of course I already went in a little bit, not gonna lie, with kind of a little bit low expectations because the 2016 Suicide Squad was, it
was it was a movie. It was made.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
Had some parts. Scenes,
yeah.
Villains.
There was actors. Mm-hmm.
Climax.
There were CGI villains.
Yes. So me and my wife were watching it together, and out the gate, the first like 5 minutes, we were already sold. And I loved every single part of it. There's not like one scene that I can think of where I had like an issue with or anything of that nature. I love how it was written. I love the use of music, totally classic James Gunn to utilize music. Making characters you didn't think you would care for, end up caring for at the end of it.
A lot. Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it overall.
It was fantastic. Jose, what'd you think, my guy?
Oof. So
you've already come out publicly and said it was the best DC movie outside of the Batman trilogy.
Yes, I did get a slight bit of flack for that because obviously you do have the Joker, and the Joker technically applies.
I'd say it's better than the Joker. I would actually non-hesitatingly say it's better than the Joker.
That's my thing. It's I think it's a different type of film. So I think this was definitely a
Joker's not a superhero movie. It's a legitimate, like, it's an anthology of a genuinely sick person going down the rabbit hole who happens to turn into a well-known caricature. It's not a superhero movie.
Yeah, I would say the Joker's more of a character study than anything like that.
Yeah.
The thing with the Suicide Squad that really jumped out to me is how well they were able to give every single character their own moment. So like every single character had their own moment, and even the exposition felt really, really, really like heartfelt. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it. The part in the van where they're each explaining how they got to the situation they're in, especially when Ratcatcher is explaining her background, which by the way, Taika Waititi plays her dad.
The Ratcatcher one was wild.
Yeah, and Mans
you can't really see that it's him until like the very like I saw him he's got the needle in and all that in the early scenes, and you're like, is that Taika Waititi? And then at the end you see it is Taika Waititi.
I'm not gonna lie, I did the same thing. My wife was like, that's him. I said, are you sure? And then after the end I was like, yeah, it's him.
I did a double take. I did a double take, and then as soon as he started talking, then yes. I would say that this is more of a team up movie than but like team up movie first, and then like superhero stuff second. Because like if you think about it, the powers themselves, or like the showcase of their powers, is not even the center of the movie. Like it's their relationships. Their relationship is what drives the movie, which is great, because in the Suicide Squad movie, it was mostly like about like the character itself, right? It was like about Harley Quinn and how she's crazy, and so is the Joker, and just like exploring the comic side of it. While this is more of like a character mashup, and how they like a buddy film between like all these like random, very diametrically opposed characters and personalities. So to summarize all that shebang into like a few short sentences, it is not the best superhero movie ever. We'll discuss that later in the Stack 'em Up.
Whatever
but it is one of the best DC movies. It is probably to this like now best movie of the year. At least right now. Not counting like super dramatic films or whatever. That's not what we cover here.
Not counting like The Green Knight or.
But I wanted to discuss this, right? Because we're all in agreement. It is a great movie, but it underperformed, which is really, really surprising. So
like financially? Yes,
bro. So their initial projections were off by around $3.5 million. So it opened at 26.5, which they were supposed to they were projected to go up at 30 million domestic, meaning US release. And then overseas it did a little bit better with a total of 72 for its debut. But like they expected it to be like a total banger. And because of spiking COVID cases, it has not been a banger. But like the cool thing is that this is like a small dot, like, or like a really outlier in the movie industry, where like the movie is loved by the audience and like the majority of the critics, and then it just flops financially, or like is not that great financially. That's what I would say.
I wonder what kind of repercussions that will have, though, is my thing. So like obviously, like, yes, the critical reception and also the audience reception has been like, this is really, really good, right? Like it was sitting at 91% on Rotten Tomatoes when I checked. The audience score was around 60, which was weird, because with it, like, I understand like with like a more like artsy, more like theatrically driven movie, you can see that like the difference between like, hey, the critics score, the critics who understand like nuance and all these kinds of things, like more technically like theatrical movies are gonna appreciate it, but like audience scores are gonna be low. That's what happened with The Green Knight, essentially. But like with this, I was like, the movie is so easy to understand, such an easy pill to swallow. Why is the audience score low? But no, I love it. I loved it. I'm so excited. In my opinion, I think DC is back. I did not know it flopped though, but then again, find me a movie this year that hasn't.
That's true. The thing. Oh yeah, what were you saying, Misu?
I think it's just a product of, I can say that we are now heavily into streaming now instead of just movie theatrical releases now. So with that being said, it is going to be more commonplace to hear about like movies not doing well in terms of that, because of COVID, and now we're pushing everything to streaming, or like how we've been dealing with the issue of like having it in theaters and streaming at the same time.
How does that reflect in terms of chart numbers? Like, are you now accounting for HBO Max downloads? Like that kind of thing. Like that's not the kind of revenue that's being accounted for. I mean, like I call me old fashioned, but like I love seeing new movies in movie theaters. I don't know why. There's something about the community of it. There's something about like the experience that you're all seeing the movie for the first time together. Like I think it was really, really good. The one movie that didn't underperform, Mugen Train. Mugen Train was the one that made a gajillion dollars, because it did. But also Mugen Train didn't have an alternative for at least a little while. It was a while until it came out on a Crunchyroll. So I think they kind of shoot themselves in the foot in terms of movie releases, making them available, because it's available on HBO Max right now, right?
Yes, it is. That's how I saw it.
But at the same time, is it more important to them to drive those HBO Max sales or to drive actual movie ticket sales?
I would argue yes, because they are already spending a lot of money on like licensing, like for movies and TV shows for their streaming platforms. So adding that boost of like, oh, we're having a major movie release on our streaming platform makes it a little bit more enticing to get HBO Max. The only thing is that now, like obviously with the Black Widow situation, Disney has said that they're not releasing any more movies, at least for the time being, dual release, meaning movie theaters and simultaneous movie release. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how it moves, how it translates to dollars, because obviously we know that moves the world. But besides the financial part, I want to cover what really is important here, and it is the damn characters of this movie. Every single character was a bomb, and I need to know who your top 3 were.
Ooh.
Top 3 characters. Ooh. I already got mine. I already got my top 3.
I mean, one's got to be Harley Quinn, right? That's it. 2's King Shark. And 3, Dark Horse? Polka-Dot Man, I gotta say.
Okay.
I'd say, like, I'm not giving it to Rick Flag. John Cena's awesome. John Cena was incredible. Also, he's like 50 and he looks just so good.
Fountain of Youth.
He looks the same. He looks when I used to watch him on WWE.
Yeah, same
here. I mean, you get on anabolic steroids and you'll also look great. But also Idris Elba did a fantastic job. So like, but yeah, no, I gotta say Harley Quinn won. I love her as a character. I think her entire arc has been fantastic. King Shark, I have a lot of things I want to say about King Shark as we get deeper into this. And then Polka-Dot Man, yeah.
All right, I'll take my top 3. I have a different top 3. So at number 3, I'll have Peacemaker. At number 3, I was really impressed with John Cena. I was really impressed with that, like not just his like mannerisms and his actual acting ability. He played the like straight arrow but very morally ambiguous like anti-hero to the T, with a lot of comedy and a lot of great like body humor. Like when he's fighting with or like basically outdoing himself with Idris Elba's character for Bloodsport, like, and he goes like that just like set me off like the rails.
That entire scene was hilarious. When you find out like they open it up and like Rick Flag's just chilling and they're like,
those are the resistance fighters.
Those are the good guys. It just, I literally started crying laughing. I was so good. Also, like if you're talking about the practicality of his role, like he is a comedic heel kind of.
Yeah.
But in the end, he becomes a serious actor. Like the actual range he had to act in that role was actually pretty impressive.
That's the Marine, bro. That's the Marine at him. the Marine movie. But yeah, so I would do Peacemaker at 3, 2. Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn like was baller all the way through.
Posted a TikTok about how much you wanted to be with her, and she's number 2.
Yeah, because I posted in that same video. I explained myself. So I would say in the second one, like I would say this is the best portrayal of Harley Quinn in terms of like her character itself. Not with like the Joker, like Harley Quinn. Not
outside
related
of
to
the
Batman.
Animated universe, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Outside of the animated series for Batman, outside of the Harley Quinn animated series, like this is the best that we've seen her, including Birds of Prey. Even though Birds of Prey was a great movie too.
Oh yeah.
And number 1 was King Shark, bro. King Shark was so. Sylvester Stallone is giving Vin Diesel a run for his money for the best.
I forgot it was Sly Stallone. I keep forgetting it was Sly Stallone behind that. You kept texting me, you're like, Sylvester Stallone needs to be protected at all costs. I was like, what is he talking about?
Dude, when he goes like when he's putting on the mustache, it's like you're basically the same person. Like there's no way. This is such a stupid idea. He's like, fuck, no. Why are you doing this?
You get introduced to him. He's reading the book upside down.
Yes, me read. I like this. Nom nom. Nom nom.
Nom nom. No. But so here's my thing. King Shark is an incredible character, and also canonically has dated John Constantine. Like King Shark, if you watch Dark War Apocalypse, the end of the DC animated universe run of movies, you find out King Shark and John Constantine, who was played by Keanu Reeves in the live action, have dated. And I love that so much. It's so fantastic to me. Everyone's upset about like Loki's gender, and I'm like, John Constantine is also gay and has been with a shark. So what are we upset about here? Mizu, who are your top 3?
See, it's so funny that y'all say that because it's so hard because I liked every single one of them. They all have their moments, but if I had to pick 3, One, I'll have to say Bloodsport. I love what Idris Elba was able to bring to, because at first, I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought when I first saw him, I thought that he was some type of rip-off character they made for Deadshot.
Yeah.
And it turns out I actually looked them up. Like, no, he's a real character that exists in the comic books.
Yeah.
And who was very similar. And I love the fact that they brought up how Amanda Water was talking about, like, oh, but we got a whole team with people of unique abilities, and then Peacemaker shows up. He's just like, you said, this is a whole team of unique abilities. He sounds just like me. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And I love how James Gunn brought that in there and just made us realize that, yeah, this guy is pretty much like Deadshot, just a tad bit different, a little bit, I guess. But
his suit was so cool too. Like the detachable guns.
I was sitting here asking myself every time he pulled something out, I was like, where is he getting his tech from? Where did he get this tech from? Like,
Tony Stark,
this tech is insane.
Wrong universe.
I know.
Batman,
he went full on Tony Stark. I mean, Tony Stark can't pull like a full on like Gallic gun type.
He built a grenade launcher out of his suit, which was incredible.
He did.
It could have been Mr. Fox, honestly. It could have been, it could have been Batman's guy. It could have been Morgan Freeman,
The other two I also have to say Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was hilarious. All her scenes, like there was never like a dull moment where Harley Quinn in it. Every time she came on screen, and I'm just sitting here, I'm like, oh, this is probably gonna be hilarious. And it was hilarious. And then the last one,
Ratcatcher.
No, I'm not gonna lie, just because you guys already said it, but I also love King Shark. But just to be different, I also love Ratcatcher too. Ratcatcher too. She felt, I'm not gonna lie, she felt like the baby of the group. She felt like the child of the group, and that they kind of like all kind of protecting, and she gave that kind of like childlike wonder to the group, knowing that she controls. And I was sitting here with Bloodsport, like controls rats. So I'm like, oh god, like. I was sitting here in the beginning of the movie, like, yeah, you're not selling me with these rats. Sebastian's kind of cool, okay, but this rest of this rat thing is just disgusting. But at the end of the movie, I'm just like, you know what? After Attack of Waititi's character, I was like, you know what? Maybe rats are not that bad. Still gross, but like everybody has purpose.
True. Here's my thing: you could make. I honestly think, in DC, feel free to listen, because I am your fan base. You could make a Ratcatcher 2 movie and easily get away with it. She was very charismatic, and Sebastian was, I literally, like, every time he was on the screen, I was like, oh, I love you. Like, his little, he kept trying to, like, he brought, like, Bloodsport. Yeah, he brought him a leaf, and he, like, kept waving at it. He was like, is that rat waving at me? I loved him so much.
I feel like what I would love to see is a cook-off between Remy from Ratatouille and then Sebastian. Yes.
Like, if we're being real, if you're saying all animated mouse, like battle royale, Sebastian is mopping Remy. He's mopping Stuart Little. Bro, it's over. He's absolutely like a new contender has hit the stage.
Splinter might win.
Oh yeah, Splinter.
He is a rat, right?
He do be a rat, and he's the rat.
It's almost cheating.
Hey, I don't make the rules.
Side note. I do want to say that going earlier when you said there was like with the exposition, I love how also the jokes, if you think about it, the jokes in themselves were also exposition. Think about it. Within 2 jokes, we learned that Weasel killed 27 children and he can't swim.
Dude.
Like
that was such a great opening to the movie. It was so good. You see all of them. You see them all betting in the Deadpool, and then like it just like Weasel jumps out and everyone's all serious, and it's just instantly drowning. Oh god, it was so good. That opening scene was, I'm gonna say, if we're talking first 10 minutes of any movie, one of my favorite out there, just period. Not even superhero, like just like taking your expectations and turning them on their head. Just watching Pete Davidson's face explode, so great. So watching the spear guy like jump over some rocks and just get split, and then Nathan Fillion, who looks fantastic for 55 or however old he is, like his arms popping off and then just like lightly slapping people in the face and just getting they're just like shooting his arms. Oh, so much fun.
For real, I love the fact that, and they could have made it obvious and be like, oh yeah, these guys are the people. Oh no, wait, these guys are the main cast. But like, no, they made them feel so like this was going to be the crew. Like they were making jokes, they were conversing like, oh, so what does TDK mean? He said, it's just my name. Like, wait, so your name is Letters?
Your name is Letters?
The banter was so good. I'm just sitting here like, oh, I guess this is the crew. And then no, it flipping on your head and like, no, it's not. So I was genuinely surprised when it wasn't them. Me and my wife were like, holy crap, like, so what's going on here? And then they're like, oh, here's a second team, and this is going to be our main crew. And
Actual
I love how
Suicide
they
Squad.
could have been, like I said, they could have done the easy way out and been like, oh yeah, this is people here, and then kill them off, and we wouldn't have been any of the wiser, I guess, but it would have kind of been obvious. But I like how they actually took the time and energy to flesh them out and
before
turn, and then we'll do the whole 180 on this.
Dude, I feel like two of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, like, so they took a few of the characters from the original movie and then just like literally sent them off to the Shadow Realm real quick, like Captain Boomerang, right?
Captain Boomerang just literally was like the second person to die. Like he got hit by a helicopter.
Bro, that was wild. That was wild.
Mongal is like crazy powerful in the comics.
Yeah.
Like Mongal is literally she's literally the daughter of Vandal Savage.
Oh, wow.
And she's insanely powerful. And so just like I was like watching her go out like that, I was like, that's crazy. Like she like literally was the strongest person on that team at the moment. And so yeah, that was awesome. And then but what was most surprising was, I mean, Captain Boomerang, it was like, oh yeah, it was sad, he died. Watching Rick Flag die was crazy.
Bro, I did not expect that at all. I was like, yo, really? You're
gonna
send him off like that?
Like John Cena, like I mean, if we're being real, I think it was intentionally done. Like because up until that point, like sure, him and John Cena were fighting, and John Cena's the bootlicker, and Rick Flag is trying to expose America essentially. And what it boils down to is now with the death of Rick Flag, you're like, okay, John Cena's the bad guy. Like he is Amanda Waller, like in the field, And so I think that was to solidify that. But I mean, he was the main character. He was the main character of the last movie.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. Him and Polka-Dot Man, who was my third favorite guy.
Polka-Dot Man.
But I do like how they remind us that, like, hey, this is called the Suicide Squad for a reason. Even with, granted, we killed off those guys, doesn't mean that these guys aren't going to be killed off either. And the part that's so interesting, which was little trivia with that, is funny enough, Rick Flag actually does die in the comics the same way. He gets killed in Jotunheim. The only difference is in the comics that he dies from the explosion and not being killed by Peacemaker.
That's really wild.
He dies within Jotunheim when it explodes because he decides to be the one to stay behind, and that kind of whole shtick. But now I guess they kind of went with the comics in a way, but added John Cena's character, Peacemaker, to kill him. So yeah, pretty much it's comic book accurate. Rick Flag's death is comic book accurate.
That's awesome. So guys, you can only take three. So you'll take one actor all time out of the WWE. Who are you taking?
All-time actor out of the WWE.
So that's Dave Bautista, John Cena, The Rock, the Great Khali.
I know. I'm trying to think because there's been others.
Yeah. Because after watching this movie, I feel like a lot of people will go with The Rock, but after watching this movie, I'm feeling like if I had to choose John Cena's discography or The Rock's discography, I feel like I'm probably taking John Cena's.
Dave Bautista.
So you're talking, but Dave Bautista is what? We're talking that movie that he just did with the Las Vegas zombie movie.
He's going to be in Dune, I believe. Or
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Spectre. He doesn't say Spectre. He says a word in the entire movie and his performance. And he also did Blade Runner.
The new one?
Yeah, Blade Runner 2049.
He was in Blade Runner? I haven't seen that. I hated Blade Runner.
You hated Blade Runner? Really?
The original Blade Runner is not a good movie. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh,
the original Blade Runner
we need to have a sci-fi episode. Okay,
it's
perfect.
not a good movie.
It is one of the best sci-fi movies, bro.
It's boring.
No.
Harrison Ford is chunky the whole time. The special effects are cheap. There's a million Coca-Cola ads. It never pulled me in. I never needed
it. That speech in the rain, like that is literally like it has one of the most memorable quotes in movies.
If we're gonna talk about androids, just go play Detroit Become Human. All right, that's better.
Fair,
that's
fair.
a better story.
Can we just appreciate a few last things before, if you guys, well, if we can talk a little bit more about Suicide Squad, because there's a lot to talk about, but I want to appreciate two things. One, the absolute monster that is Viola Davis, if we needed any more confirmation.
I was literally just about to bring this up. Yeah.
Like, Viola Davis, like, absolutely rocked this role out of the park, and with that, like, connected to that is the actual theme of the movie and how dark and real and actually, like, dramatically intense it got as soon as we knew that, like, okay, they're going to Jotunheim to basically do cleanup for, like, the U.S. government. Like, that got, like, really, really tight. And then I'll leave the last one for later, because that's a more humorous part. But yeah, how did you guys feel about, like, the plot thickening near the end, and then Viola Davis's masterful performance as Amanda Waller?
I love Amanda Waller just as a person. I love people who are, like, stone cold in their convictions, whether or not those convictions be bad or good. I would say as a whole, I don't think you can say Amanda Waller is a good person or a bad person. I think she exists perfectly in the gray area, and that's what I love about her. So it's all about it's about the optics on Amanda Waller. Like, she is an ends justify the means kind of person. And even if we are including animated universe, I still think Viola Davis is the best iteration of Amanda Wallace, period. I don't think even in animated comics, I think Viola Davis has given life to Amanda Waller. She is hateable and lovable simultaneously. When she got hit with a golf club, I was cheering, but also I was upset because I love Amanda Waller as a character. So yes, I think she is a mammoth. I think she is doing a fantastic job, and I don't think she's being talked about enough.
To me, I would say this is another case of perfect casting. Absolutely perfect casting. Think about it. You got Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, casting Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury because he looks exactly like him in the comics. Same thing, and Viola Davis is another one. For the longest time, before we even knew about the DCEU, I already knew that if they were going to put Viola Davis in there, I was just like, oh yeah, hands down, Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller would be the absolute dream casting. And the fact that they did it, because one, she looks like her. Looks like her. And if you've seen the way Viola Davis acts and some of her stuff, especially when she gets serious, she has like the anger and the seriousness that could be like that whole presence to be Amanda Waller, and she does a fantastic job. And just like Nick said, like I loved her and hated her at the same time. Yep. I was also cheering when she got knocked out, but I was also scared, like, okay, I hope they didn't kill her because I still want her around. Because I was just like, okay, but because yes, like you said, so she has strong conviction. She is not the good guy or the bad guy. Like, think about it. Like, one of the things that made me knew that she was serious business is that in the comic book, she has a love-hate relationship with Batman. She hates Batman. Like, she understands what Batman does, but she absolutely hates him. But then later in life, during like, I guess in like a Batman Beyond series, she realizes that like, oh man, Batman is needed. And she thought he was so needed to the point where she was going to recreate the events that made Batman to a child so he can become Batman. She was literally going to murder this kid's parents, all the same stuff to recreate Batman because the world needed a Batman. That's how serious she is with what she is trying to do. And my wife was sitting here because she kind of vaguely knew who Amanda Waller was, but when she was seeing what the stuff she was doing, I was like, yeah, this is her character. This is who she is. This is the person she is. Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
It's just watching someone be so absolutely like blood bound to their convictions. I love it. I love it, and she does such a good job of portraying it.
In terms of plot, and I'll say this again, like I love the fact that James Gunn took characters like villains, especially villains, besides with the exception of like Harley Quinn and Amanda Waller, took villains that are relatively unheard of. Took a villain, took a villain, Starro, which I never thought
obscure villain,
and a very obscure villain like Starro, which I never thought in hell that they would put him in a movie. I'm just like, Starro seems like the type to stay in comics and like animated films. There's no way you can make a live action film with Starro in it, and they did it. And it was fantastic. And on top of that, then they had to kind of run on like side villains, which is the Corto Maltese.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here like, okay, like they got those stereotypical like early, back in early films, 80s and 90s, back then bad guys used to be foreigners in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did that trope, but it did it in a way that was so good that I cared more about the Corto Maltese than I cared about Enchanters. I'm like, damn, they're really getting away with this. Like Corto Maltese literally have the freaking weapon of destruction, this star, this alien that they can do anything with. And of course, their whole beef with the US and China and all of them. I thought that was so interesting, way more interesting than the Enchantress in 2016.
When I heard that they were going to Corto Maltese, I was like, Bane. I was like, holy shit, we're gonna get Bane. Because that's where Bane is from. But I was still so happy with when Harley Quinn, like, I guess you could say the dictator seduces Harley Quinn, and then she just puts one in his
summer. Hot girl summer. That's what I was gonna say last. Like hot girl summer, and literally plow, bro.
Like, and so obviously this movie took place after the events of Birds of Prey, because she's got all the tattoos. It's like fuck Joker, all that kind of thing. So that's the one thing Warner Brothers can't like avoid. It's like obvious tattoos. It's like damaged on Joker's face. It was like, did we really need to have that? But like, it was awesome. Her being like, if I ever see a red flag again, like I'm gonna put one in his chest. And the reason why I love Harley Quinn, and what I've actually seen out of a lot of movies this year, and I really appreciate, because we saw it in Snake Eyes as well, is putting women in like situations of distress, right? And then just having them get themselves out of it. Like, it's like no man had to come rescue Harley Quinn, right? They were on their way, and that would have been very typical movie fashion. But Harley Quinn gets herself out, in Snake Eyes. Tommy-san's mom and a couple of the other female characters are all trapped. They get themselves out. They meet him at the door, that kind of thing. So, like, that entire scene was probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, when the flowers are coming out from behind her. She has the javelin. Harley Quinn, it could have been her stunt double or something, but the fight choreography was gorgeous.
Yep.
Yes.
Highly agree. I think the biggest thing for me, and like this is just like to circle back, like and finish out the thought on like great castings. First of all, with regards to Amanda
Margot
Waller,
Robbie $1 billion. That's what you need to do, Warner Brothers.
Big facts, because she's
Never
carrying.
lose her.
She's carrying.
Yeah. Your entire universe.
The big thing that I was gonna say, at least with Viola, for example, like, this is when I advocate, right? So I know it's a little bit more expensive and like makes the production a little bit more hectic to try to get these people like in the actual movie. But like, I am a big believer that big actors pay for themselves. So for example, Viola Davis literally like stood up to Idris Elba, who is a towering human, and he do be big, chunky, and like really, really, really ripped. And I felt like Amanda was like more intimidating just by the way she was looking into his eyes. Like, you could feel the power dynamic that Amanda commands the presence of the entire room just because of her attitude. And the same thing applies. Yeah, just the same thing applied, for example, with Anthony Hopkins as Odin. Like, he could have he's an old ass man, but you know how powerful this man is, and like at any point, like he could just spout wisdom or send your ass in a stretcher. So like I love the fact that they chose perfect castings, and going to Margot Robbie, which is the in my opinion like the highlight, besides King Shark, the highlight of the movie in terms of bringing everybody together. She was able to embody all the aspects of Harley Quinn in one movie. She was vulnerable. She was extremely cunning. As soon as she opened her eyes after the taser scene, I was like, it's a wrap. It's curtains. It's curtains. She played that, and she also played the fact that she wants a family. Like, she not just like in a figurative way. It's just like she wants other people to like care for, right?
She wants a home.
Yeah, she wants a home, and she did all of that in one movie and did it without being cheesy. So again, James Gunn needs to be commended for an amazing script, an amazing set of people, and the last thing that I wanted to mention, if you guys have anything else, the actual villain, the mix between Starro and Peacemaker, but Starro specifically, I actually liked it. Like, even though it's like it's literally a giant flying starfish, adding the element of it being like the Alien franchise, where like it's literally like just attaching to people and making fun. Bro, this man took Doctor Who and literally like erased him from existence in like a second. And I don't know, like, how did you guys feel about one, the Thinker, because like we didn't talk about him and he was like pretty cool, I think.
Loved
the Thinker,
his kill.
and then Starro.
First off, this movie was packed to the gills with satisfying kills. I love horror movies. Like House of a Thousand Corpses is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love good, satisfying kills, and this movie was absolutely stuffed to the gills of him. So the Thinker's kill was very satisfying, just getting his arms and his legs ripped off and then splattered against the window. He was never intimidated. I mean, from the moment we saw him, he was essentially at the end of a gun. I don't really think he was the bad guy of the movie. I think philosophically he was the bad guy of the movie. But he was never a threat to the Suicide Squad. He was never a threat to Starro, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What I loved most about Starro, his last line. I was happy floating amongst the stars. Starro wasn't the bad guy. Starro was not the bad guy. America is the bad guy of this movie. America has been doing these human experiments on all these people in Corto Maltese. America are the people who took Starro out of where he was happy. Like America are the people like putting the Suicide Squad at the end of a gun. You know, all of these kinds of things. Like you could say Starro, you could say the Corto Maltesians, all of them. But like at the end of the day, it is America, and that's my last note was I feel bad for Starro because he was just living his life and we yanked him out of there.
And the thing is, I don't know if Mizu, like, because I think you have more context into like the whole Starro story. He didn't even say like world domination wasn't his thing either. He was just like the city. Yeah, the city's mine. Like I just want to like just GTFO. He didn't even attack the Suicide Squad when he had hundreds of people under his control. He was just like, bro, just like leave me alone. I just want to go.
For real. So in the comics, I will say that for a good chunk of it, well, they don't give him too much of a personality compared to the movie. Like he's basically like a living organism that lives throughout space, and it reproduces and it takes over people. And funny enough, like I said, I was telling Jose earlier, little fun fact, Starro was like the first villain that the Justice League fought as a team. He is the villain that brought them together as a team in the comics back in the 1960s. So he's a very old villain.
Golden era.
And he's also actually mainly a Superman villain because there's a point in the comics where he took over Superman. And Superman was controlled by him for a hot issue. And they didn't know it was him for a hot minute. So I'll say in the comics that Starro was a little bit more villainous in the comic books. But I liked how in the movie, they actually just made him like, just a creature. Like he was floating through space. He was just minding his own business.
Yeah.
And then just got captured by American astronauts and experimented with for 30 years by the
Thinker.
By the Thinker. So, and like you said, I was thinking back to myself too, Nick, that last line he said, I felt so bad. I was just like, dang, y'all really took this creature out of its natural habitat, and now you just mess with him, and now look what's done. Like now a whole freaking island, you could say 90% of its population is pretty much gone.
Just gone. Bane's gonna be pissed. Bane is gonna be very, very mad. I think that would actually be a very interesting look. I think right there you have Suicide Squad too. Like, hey,
King Shark be Bane.
That would be an incredible fight, and we could actually finally get a Hispanic Bane as opposed to Tom Hardy. And we can actually have him have some juice, like we can have like his like green Bane juice. I would love a comics accurate or animated universe accurate version of Bane. I mean, Harley Quinn has given it to us. I love Bane in the Harley Quinn TV show. But yeah, no, all in all, just an incredible movie. So good.
One thing I also want to say real quick is I love the transition scenes when they're telling us like, oh, here is it was so creative.
The smoke, it's like Operation, and then it was like the smoke blew and it like rose back to Harley.
Yeah, like back then, like 8 minutes earlier. Now stuff like that. I love the transition because he could have been like, he could have been like Marvel and the rest of them, be like, oh, just actually have the title and then keep it pushing. But no, he decided to get creative with it, and I love that. And it just stood out so cool to the point where when we first saw like the first two of them, I was looking forward to if there was going to be any more and how they're going to do it. And I love how they did that.
Yeah.
Question. Is James Gunn still slated? Because we know he had that controversy. Is he still slated to direct Guardians 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
They took him off it and then they put him back on it.
Okay, because I was gonna say James Gunn just validated how much of a great director he is at handling like complex and nuanced characters.
I want him to go back into horror. I want him to go back into horror so badly.
Did you like Slither? I didn't like Slither that much. I liked it, but
really?
I was like, okay. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. That's kind of like there was times in Suicide Squad where I was like, ugh, and I was like, nice. I was like, good. Because that's like they saw that the 2016 version was PG-13 and everyone was like, literally why? And now everyone, and they were like, we're gonna make this one fucking R-rated as hell, like just so R-rated it's gonna be right in your face, and that was awesome.
Yeah, and I was actually scared for a second, like because obviously all of the characters, like, or not all of them, like some of the characters obviously meet their end by the time the movie's done. It's obviously in the title. Dude, when the carnivorous little colorful blobs start going, they start going to King Shark. I was like, bro, they're gonna kill him right there. He starts bleeding out, and I'm like, no, Sylvester, what are you doing?
He got thrown around,
bro.
Yo, King Shark is incredibly durable. After seeing this, like he got attacked by those alien piranhas, then fell like 80 feet from Jotunheim, and then the Jotunheim fell on top of him. And then he gets smacked around by Starro, and this man's still, and King Shark is still alive.
He is technically the king of the ocean. Like he's like canonically the king of the ocean. Like he controls like the entire shark race that like controls a different part of the ocean that Aquaman doesn't exist in. So like he does scale to Aquaman-ish levels. But yeah, no, what was it, Mizu?
Oh, I was also going to say that I was also worried about the deaths as well. But the one thing I will say is that it just opens the door to see who's going to be in it next. Like, who are they going to add now? Because think about it. If you can make, out of all people, the Polka-Dot Man interesting, like the Polka-Dot Man, a really DEF lister Batman villain, and turn him into something really interesting, I can imagine who else would be in it. And some people speculate that one of the people,
Double Down,
James Gunn,
and James
Calendar Man, like, I think we saw Calendar Man like in the background, so he might
James
show
Gunn's
up.
brother is Calendar Man.
Yep, and the Weasel too.
And the Weasel's
alive.
John Cena died, but the Weasel survived. That was such a great post. What was the even post-credit scene? It was just like the end of the movie, but him just running up the beach and just like and just gone.
Wait, did you see the other post-credit scene though?
No.
What was the other one? I left.
You didn't see it?
No.
I didn't stay till the end.
Peacemaker is alive.
What? I need to stop leaving early. What was the other one?
Peacemaker, because they go back. So you know the two, I think, obvious people, the white guy with the glasses who was like, and then the blonde girl, they both go to the hospital and they're just like, oh, what the, like, man, this is a whole shit show and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. He said, yeah, but he survived. And we see Peacemaker in the hospital and he lived. So he survived, and Amanda Waller is keeping him around. And here's another thing I think y'all probably might have known. With that being said, Peacemaker is getting his own HBO show.
No way.
Oh, John Cena.
Good for John Cena, dude. Let's go. That's gonna be really funny.
He's back in the WWE, so like I think he's just waiting to get called back into the acting sphere.
Dude, that's awesome. Let's go. That's sick. I didn't even hear about this.
Dude, that's wild.
I heard about that afterwards because I was looking up stuff about it and people who already posted like Easter egg videos about it. But really quick, back to what I was saying. But yeah, I'm wondering who's going to be in it next, and because James Gunn actually based it off of a specific comic book, like I said, that's the same one where Rick Flag dies, and some people speculate that maybe the next one, because he was supposed to be in it, but they didn't put him in it, and I think they might save him for another one, which is Bronze Tiger. Bronze Tiger is basically, I'll say Bronze Tiger is almost like the equivalent to like Shang-Chi, but for DC. But we also got Lady Shiva, who's also there, because there's pretty good contenders for like great martial arts, but he is up there. Like, he's like top 5. And
yeah, oh for sure.
the part that's perfect, and the part that's so sad, which I hope they bring him on there because he's played. Sad thing is, he already played Bronze Tiger in the Arrowverse. Is Michael J. White. Michael J. White was
Michael J. White would be
Arrowverse.
awesome as Bronze Tiger. Oh,
And,
that would be sick.
For real. And I thought that he was gonna be in it, and because the comic book is based on, he is in it, and I think he also is kind of like not a leader, but he's kind of like a second in command to the group. And he wasn't in the movie, so I believe some people would speculate that he might be in the next one. And I just wonder how they're going to do it, and I wonder who they're going to cast, because I wanted Michael J. White, and they still could do it. They still can pick him to play it, but I just noticed that he was also in the Arrowverse already. So you never know, because you never know who's going to be in it. For real. But like, I was also going to talk about the fact that the amount of also Marvel like actors and actresses who are also, and it's like people who are double dipping the comic book studios.
Love it.
Because you
got double dipped.
Wait, who double dipped? Oh, there's a whole list of people who was in there who was both Marvel and DC who was in it. First of all, Idris Elba plays Heimdall in Thor.
You're right. Oh, he's dead though. I forgot about that. Huh?
Yep. Yeah. Weasel, basically James Gunn's brother is Weasel and the second in command to Yondu before he left.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
They're both dead in Marvel. Both those characters
Reynolds.
are dead technically. Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
Yeah. Green Lantern, bro.
There's so many. Yeah, there's a whole.
They're not gonna run with that.
I know.
There's and then there's one scene where they're in that club, and you see those 3 girls dancing just very weirdly, and there's like one they focused on specifically, the girl with the red hair. You know that's Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep, she plays the dancer.
The motion based, like that was Mantis.
That's crazy.
Jared Leto, Mobius, and Joker.
Once again, they're not running with Joker anytime soon, unless they restore the Snyderverse, in which case they might, but they're not going to do that, unfortunately. Dude, but yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely like, there was a lot of really cool Easter eggs and all that, which is why I said it was the greatest superhero movie of all time. And I might have hyperbolized, I realized coming back to it, but it brings us to our conversation, which is, what is the greatest superhero movie of all time? Yes. And I feel like since I opened it being like, oh, it's gotta be Suicide Squad, I feel like I should say that. But at the same time, in my heart, I know that's not what my real answer is. My real answer is Logan. I think Logan is the greatest superhero movie of all time. It's the only superhero movie personally in my top 5 movies of all time. And it's because it takes itself so seriously that it almost doesn't feel like a superhero movie. It feels like a genuinely good movie written in a superhero verse, a bit like Rogue One, honestly. And I think the realistic, like the actual, like if you're looking at interesting storylines, looking at telepathics, getting something like Alzheimer's is one of the most interesting storylines out there. And it's also incredibly prevalent in the X-Men comics, because that's how a lot of like extinction events happen is, Professor X eventually loses his mind, and then he just literally shakes the mansion to the ground, and everyone just like gets murdered. And that's more or less what happened. That is what happened, but you don't see it on screen, which goodness, what I love to see that get put on screen. Like finally, like Patrick Stewart, like losing his mind and just killing all mutants. But at the same time, we're talking Patrick Stewart, and we're talking at Wolverine's last movie, 2 decades of this man acting as Wolverine. Why am I spacing his name?
Hugh Jackman, who is you could say it was Spider-Man who kicked off the comic book rush, but it was as much Hugh Jackman as it was Spider-Man at the end of the day. So watching this like come to its logical conclusion, and the fact that he dies in the end, and in the way he does, and the way that the torch gets passed down to X-23, and him having to bury Patrick Stewart and being like, at least it has water. I cried 3 or 4 times during that movie. But I think what really tops it off cinematically, I don't think there's a better scene. There's few scenes in television better than when they're in the casino. Patrick Stewart is having a stroke, and Hugh Jackman has to painstakingly walk
through stilled time and just slowly extend his claws into the brains of all these men with gun, and you just like watch their death register on their face. Like I said, I am a sucker for good kills, and that movie was chock full of them. So yes, you can say it's Endgame or any of that, but Endgame was child's play, my guy. Child's play. All right, it was a stereotypical heroes movie. Also, I made a TikTok. Why didn't Thanos just make double the stuff? Why kill half the people? Why not make just double the stuff? Why not just make it so people don't have to be hungry or thirsty? You can just do that with the reality stuff. Didn't even need all 6 stones. I realized that like 3 days ago. Ruined Endgame for me.
I am going to go last because I'm glad you picked that one, because regardless of what Mizu picks, I have a good pick. So Mizu, you can go first.
Are you sure? I hope it's not the same one.
No, I'll let you choose because I have an argument. I think I know which one you're gonna pick. So I'll just pick the
technically
other one.
you should have gone first because you won.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
I'll take it.
Dude, who won last week?
We didn't put the polls up, bro.
We didn't put up.
No.
I was gonna win that one too.
Hey, no, but we can put both. We can put both. That's perfect. That's perfectly fine.
All right, fine.
But yeah,
and technically, I am the most recent winner, so yes. I do get to go first.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. So, Mizu, you have the honors.
So earlier, Nick, you talked about how the Suicide Squad had like the best opening like 10 minutes for a superhero film.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, but do you know who had that before them? The Dark Knight.
Oh, okay.
The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Yes, sir.
When we open up with a bank robbery of Joker goons.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just sitting here like, oh, these are just people who happen to be working for the Joker, and they're getting the stuff done, and we've seen them getting killed left and right. We see betrayal because it also shows that, I mean, they're goons. Money's money. That's what rules the world, and they're killing each other. And that opening scene where we finally see who is in charge, like, what do you believe in? What do you believe in? And he takes like, I believe in what doesn't kill you, makes you stranger. And we have the reveal of who the main bad guy is of the Dark Knight. And the part that's so amazing about the Dark Knight specifically is that you don't even have to watch Batman Begins to understand the Dark Knight. You don't even have to watch the Dark Knight Rises either. It's so good that it's a sequel that stands alone as its own like single film.
Mm-hmm.
And the part I also
love,
love,
Nolan trilogy.
Exactly. And the part I also love the most, like you talked about realism, the Dark Knight literally embodied how if Batman could be plausible. Like it was grounded in realism that it made it feel like, holy crap, like Batman can be out our very doors.
Mm-hmm. Because
all the villains were simplistic, easy, and realistic. And especially with the Joker, the issues of like anarchy, this feeling of distrust, and on top of that, morality, because that whole scene where they had 2 boats with one filled with criminals and one filled with civilians, and Joker made them give a choice, like, hey, who are you going to choose to blow up?
Life is more important.
Like, whose lives are more important, them or yours? And that whole scene, granted, that whole scene was intense because we had no idea who was going to do what. And they had the whole scene where the police officer was talking to an inmate saying, hey, I know you don't have the courage to do it. And, you know, I'm a bad guy. Give me the device. And we're already sitting here like, is he going to give him the device? Because the police officer on here like, hey, I'm also, these are bad guys, but I'm also on this boat. And I could also die. And then on top of that, the other scene where we see all the head gangsters of Gotham City having that discussion because Batman is becoming a reoccurring problem. And one guy shows up from China, says like, hey, I can fix all of this. And then Joker comes in and shuts that whole shit down. So it's like, oh, like, and he's just like, oh, like he knows how to make people squeal. And this guy right here on the screen is a squealer. And I love how he cuts his camera off. And that whole scene when he's talking to them, he's just like, oh, you're a freak. You think you're just gonna steal from us and walk away? Like, yeah. Look,
a war in a suit filled with grenades. Let's not blow this out of proportion.
And then on top of that, his intimate scene after what happened to Harvey Dent, when he showed up as a nurse and was just talking to him about, you know, life and how things work, and convinced Harvey Dent to go down this path of darkness. and leaves with this childlike wonder on his face, trying to blow up a hospital.
Entire
And
scene's
it wasn't
improvised,
working.
too. Yeah.
I'm sorry. That scene had no business being funny.
Yeah.
That scene had no business. He's just sitting here pressing. He's just like, what's going on? Like, it's not working. And then it started working afterwards. He's like, oh, all right, there you go. But
Heath Ledger was a mastermind, dude. That entire it was supposed to blow it was supposed to blow on the first hit. Entire scene is improvised.
Exactly.
Genius.
And mind you, before that, no one has really done a live action version of the Joker since Jack Nicholson. So no one really thought that, well, was this going to be good? Can he pull it off? And wow, you know how many? It's so good. You know how many fanboys there are for the Joker because of this film?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why so serious? The amount of why so serious backgrounds I saw in like 2010 of like it's like the
way
it's
too
like,
many.
It's like it's like written in smoke and he's like blurry in the background. Oh God, I think
With
they're all
that
in
being
prison
said, and then though we get his own original origin story with the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix, I love the fact that they kept his origin ambiguous every time he said how he got these scars, and each one of them is a different story, which goes to his character because canonically we don't know his background.
Yeah. Like
So
all we know
I'll
is
say
he was
The
the Red
Dark
Hood.
Knight is the best superhero film across the board. Like, and you're talking about the one that did it all, the one that showed even critics that superhero films can be taken seriously. They have the ability to be contenders to win Oscars and things like that, instead of just being seen as, campy, only done like, oh, I stole your washing machine, Batman. What are you gonna do? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. God, but those were always fun. Those 80s, 90s Batman, Joker, Jack Nicholson.
The
those
Superman movies
were also fantastic. They were really, really good. But no, I mean, listen, I'm not going to argue with you. The Dark Knight was incredible. Heath Ledger is a mastermind. And the Christopher Nolan trilogy was absolutely incredible. There's people who don't like it because they think it's an inaccurate representation of Batman. And they're not necessarily wrong, but also those people can shove it. Jose, who do you have? What do you have?
question.
Yeah. Oh, God. You're going to bend the rules again, aren't you?
Do we have are we counting animated movies?
I did.
You know where I'm going. You know where I'm
movies,
going. Are we counting animated movies?
Animated movies. I would have done.
Dang
I would have done Dark War Apocalypse.
I have. You missed by a mile.
Oh,
you haven't seen Dark War Apocalypse.
I haven't. I haven't.
Yeah. What was that? And tell me I missed by a mile.
No. But like, think about it, bro. Like, there's only one show. If we're counting animated movies, there's only one choice for this show. Because I was gonna pick. I was gonna say, since because you guys already have.
It's not coming to me.
You guys already. You're gonna kill me because
I'm just waiting for him to say it.
Yeah, because Mizu knows. Mizu knows. But like, actually, Mizu, what I was let me just get to what I was gonna say. Okay, you guys picked amazing picks, and we'll get to the debate real quick. I'm gonna say
right now.
Animated movies, one, deserve praise. We're all anime fans here. They deserve praise. They have shown that they have the technical prowess and the depth to win awards and to completely change like the way that people look at movies. And that being said, the best superhero movie that could be seen by itself, could be seen as a character study. The only thing that it doesn't have is like a top tier villain. Neither does Logan, but like a top tier, like iconic villain. The answer is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh,
the answer is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I was gonna pick The Incredibles.
I'm not nervous.
I was gonna pick The Incredibles, but Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, in my opinion, is the best Spider-Man film in general, and the best superhero movie in general. I'll give you a few reasons why, and I took notes of this before. So it has
it's got a good soundtrack.
One, the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Two, it has social commentary, not just in the casting, not just having Miles Morales as the lead role, which they also did a beautiful job of explaining his biracial background, right? He is African American. He's also Puerto Rican. My boy, my favorite Spider-Man. They also cover the impact of the actual canonic universe. They take the most horrible parts of Spider-Man, including like the Spider-Man 3 dance, and they put it in the movie. They literally reference their own issues with the character, and they put it in a comedic way. It has actually his uncle is a good villain. Actually, yeah, the
Not even really a villain.
Prowler.
It's kind of like
Prowler. The Prowler is a good villain, but I would say like it's got all of the nuances of Spider-Man, including mentoring, the issue of responsibility, the issue of fear, inadequacy, what it means to be a hero, and also establishing the multiverse.
Nick
or
Cage
like
is in it.
you
That's
have
a big
Nick
plus.
Cage, and you have 5 different characters, which are all the same person essentially, and they all get a very distinct and noticeable personality, role in the movie. Like all of it was just spectacular, and the biggest thing is not even that; it's the actual style. The animation style changes across the movie. So it starts at 24 frames per second and ends at 30 frames per second as Miles starts to get better with his powers.
Does it really?
His animation style is super comic book janky at the beginning, and then once he becomes Spider-Man, it goes up to the rest of the movie, which is filmed in 30 frames per second. So it won the Oscar for Best Animated Movie as well. So like I would say that it has all the makings of a great superhero movie. That being said, I think Mizu's gonna win this one because live action, it's definitely the Dark Knight.
No, but no, if you're including animated films, I was like, dang, that's a good one too. Another, if you were going to include animated, I was going to say also Flashpoint Paradox as well.
Oh,
that's a really good one.
That's a good one.
That's also a character study. We learn more about Barry Allen. We learned about all like the background with that and the consequences of time travel and things of that nature.
The Lego Batman movie was also really, really good.
Lego Batman movie was also very, very good. You know, so Into the Spider-Verse. So anime movies are almost universally like not acknowledged in Western like things like that. So Into the Spider-Verse came out 2018.
Yeah.
So did DBZ Brawly.
Damn.
What would you like if you're being real?
Is that a superhero movie?
Well, no. I'm saying like you said best animated movie, so my brain just started going elsewhere.
Yeah.
What would you give the best animated movie to? DBZ Brawly or Into the Spider-Verse?
I'd still say Into the Spider-Verse for me.
Spider-Verse, yeah.
I think I might be talking DBZ Brawly here.
Really?
DBZ Brawly? Have you seen DBZ Brawly?
Yes. I do.
Dude, my favorite anime character is Gohan.
Great.
Yes, I have seen it.
Yeah, I do agree that it's great, and I do like how because I'm so happy that they changed Broly's background.
Entire background.
Don't get me wrong, I like how strong he was. Like, he seemed a little bit more eviler in the original, but his backstory was whack as hell. I was like, bro, this is whack. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, because I just wanted to see. I was like, yeah, one, but I was like, what anime movie? Because I was like, if Your Name or like or something like that came out, I was like, of course, like another anime movie gets squanched. But what?
I'm actually surprised that none of us picked Black Panther.
I originally was going to say that, but then again, I was thinking to myself, like, out of all the superhero movies we've gotten, does it really like
separate itself
to that point? Like,
so.
It does, like in terms of like
Killmonger
like
premise.
Yeah,
like in terms of premise, it separates itself.
And I will say that in my opinion, I will say that it actually has, in my opinion, the more relatable villain in a sense of like, I understood his conviction a lot more and what he was trying to do, especially on a personal level. I was just sitting here because I came in that movie theater waiting to hate him because I always hated Killmonger because he's never like what he's in the movie. But then when he started talking, I was sitting here like, Danger Child, he's got a good point. Like, what are you gonna say? What's your rebuttal? And he didn't really make a good rebuttal. I'm like,
he never really rebuts it. That's the thing.
Never.
And then that's another thing. Like he actually was just like agree with her. Like, yeah, we need to. And I like how they brought that up because they could have made Wakanda a perfect place, but it's like, no, they are perfect, but at the cost of being isolated. They choose not to get involved in things. They've seen the rest of Africa suffer, and they just choose not to get involved because that's not their way and that's not their people. So I'll just sit here and like, "Duh, Wakanda, like, what are y'all doing?"
Yeah.
What you doing?
Also the line like throw me in the ocean like my forefathers, or
Yeah.
those before me, is just like one of the best movie lines in history. Like instant goosebumps. I mean, it's good, but yeah, no, I just don't think it's just like like the premise and like what it accomplished like geopolitically, very important. Like I'd say probably the most important in terms of superhero movies, period. But
Yeah.
like there's better ones, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that,
that's a solid one. Yeah.
yeah, it is a
Speaking
solid
of,
one.
oh, I was gonna say,
No, you're
speaking
good.
of
No, you're
solid
good.
ones,
That was it.
we got part 1 of part 2 of 2-parters of Bad Batch this week. And my goodness, since we're talking solid ones, this week's episode was truly solid. I see. I know. It's a transition. It's not my best one, if we're being honest, but I'm working on it. I think, and I know we've said this a lot, that this was our best episode yet, and I'm very excited for the finale because we are actually building realistic circumstances, and Crosshair is back? Question mark?
I have been very.
Also, wait, I was right. I was right. Remember, I said because of his head injury, I said his inhibitor chip is no longer there. I said this is just Crosshair.
That's true.
This was weeks ago. This is back when they were on the planet in the salvage. I said he has an injury on the side of his head where they all pulled their inhibitor chip from. That's when he lost it. I'm 2 for 2 on this show.
I thought you were gonna say that you were right that he was gonna like switch again because he.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like to the end, like just Crosshair's just bad, and they're just gonna like gank him at the end. But I was actually surprised. I would say that this, besides, it's ironic really, that I think besides the first episode, this is the best episode in the series in the season. Another thing that we have to talk about Bad Batch, they're getting a season 2. It's confirmed.
Yep.
So I wanted to gauge your opinions because obviously we had the first confrontation of the entire squad with Crosshair. We had Omega being extremely valuable, extremely like.
What else is new?
She is the center of the group in terms of actual like intelligence.
Use.
I would say, yeah, and being versatile. My big thing is I did not expect Crosshairs to go back in. Like Crosshairs literally demolished his entire squadron just to like prove a point.
One shot.
In one shot, bro.
That was so sick. He literally like it was like that's why you don't stand in a circle. That's what I gotta say. Like Crosshair will put you down in one shot. It was so good, and I don't think he is back yet though because he wants to work for the Empire. Yeah, because he so in his core,
they're soldiers.
I think, exactly, his core tenement is be a good soldier. So that's the thing. So like he just wants to be a good soldier, and I think that's like he can only find that in the Empire. He can't find that being like a galactic pirate, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I also want to see. So Mizu, what did you think about this episode?
I definitely agree that it's like the best one yet because we talked about it previously that there was a lot of episodes that just felt like they were there. They weren't really like pushing forward with anything. Like they were just, I like the element of them trying to survive and find their calling in what has transpired. But I do like how they're getting back into the thick of it. And Crosshairs being back, possibly. I feel like, I don't know, I don't think it's up his alley, but then again, you never know that he might be kind of deceiving them and be like, oh yeah, I'm with you.
He did murder.
But then I'm going to pull another 180 on you.
He ganked his own
and I'm
team,
going to murk all of you. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's always a possibility. I wouldn't trust him, but like Hunter clearly does. Which was interesting. Hunter was told Wrecker to pick him up, like he's coming with him and all that kind of thing. I thought the scene of the Empire just destroying all of Camino was awesome. I thought that was really cool. Thing. Just like just wiping out Camino was incredible. Also, though, there's a big plot line here that we haven't I think they're trying to I think it's kind of an Easter egg thing, but like they're trying to brush over it. I think Omega is older than Bad Batch 99.
She is.
Yeah. Right. Wait.
They confirmed.
Why do you say? What do you mean?
So in the in the scene where they're looking at the I just forget the Camino one's name, like the lead scientist, right?
Yeah.
Who created all of them basically.
NASA L.
Not yeah,
right?
Nasa Lee or whatever
NASA
she is.
Lee, yeah.
She mentions that like this is where you guys were created, and I was like, she basically says like I was there. Like she's like what I think she's 9 years old or close to 10 years old. But remember, she is the only one that has
not growing, accelerated.
not accelerated growth factor. They were all sent off to grow in because the Republic needed the clones in a really tight time span. So they all had accelerated healing factors. That's why they were supposed to grow old and die in less than 15 years, I think it was canonically.
Wow.
So the idea is that Omega saw the creation of the Bad Batch, or was like in parallel with them. So I think that was an amazing reveal right there. Just how they did that. That was pretty cool.
It was so subtle. She was like, I was here when you were created.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, huh? I was like, she's literally older than them because I guess I didn't really think about that. Yeah, they are growing at an accelerated pace. So shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Really cool.
Honestly, bro, I just like, dude, seeing Grand Moff Tarkin being like, yep, okay, take care of all of them.
Yeah.
And then don't come back empty-handed, basically.
Classic Grand Moff Tarkin to show up and like every time he shows up on the screen, just like, oh yeah, somebody's dying, something's about to go down.
Yeah.
The whole planet is not gonna be here anymore. And I love how they did that, because there always has been a question in the Star Wars fandom, like, oh yeah, whatever happened to Camino? Like whatever happened to this whole cloning process? What happened to him? Well, we know now.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni is a master of filling in the gaps. I think every single like question mark that we've gotten so far that we didn't even know we had, he answered it expertly in every single one.
Yeah, like it's like that's like genuinely a good question. Like it's like, hey, what like why aren't we making more clones? What happened to the Kinnamen bases? Like all of this, and that's more or less what Bad Batch has served to fill out. Like the phasing out of the clones, why, and why we're not seeing more of them like down the road. Like that's perfect. That's perfect story plot writing right there. It's and you can say like, hey, listen, like there's all these moments in the Bad Batch where we're not seeing like a canonical push forward, but at the same time we're universe building. You know, we're writing the lore that we can now make Star Wars as full fleshed out story.
I'm a sucker for lore, so I'll take it.
Yeah. So let's get predictions for next week then. What do you guys think is going to happen?
Ooh, I honestly believe that one of them has to go. One of them has, like, the thing is, like, this is such an important moment that
even with season 2 looming.
Oh, that's true.
Even with season 2 looming, that's the thing. Like yes, if this was a one standalone season, absolutely, I would say I would say probably Hunter's gone. But with season 2 coming up, like, you're really gonna get rid of a fourth of your personnel right there?
I think we're gonna see a Force user. I think we're gonna see a Force user. No, because we already got we already saw Kanan Jarrus, right? When he was a child.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in the beginning of the season. I think we could get a Force user, either that being, I highly doubt that they're putting Vader in, but I might think that they put Palpatine there. Because if you think about it, like, the reason that Omega is so important is because she's basically the perfect clone of the original clone. And like we know from episode 9 that the main goal of Palpatine all throughout these years was immortality, and just like making himself into like 100 different thousand clones. So I think it makes sense to have Palpatine show up and be like, where's the target or something like that. And because I mean, we still don't know what they want with Grogu still either. So it's like it's so surreal, because like there's like so many questions that they could fill
about Grogu. Yeah,
because Grogu is also the same thing. They want to use are midichlorians still canon? Okay, yeah, whatever.
They are, unfortunately.
So that's the vibe that I have. We're gonna see a Force user. But how about you, Mizu?
Here's the thing: since you brought up cloning, and you said Palpatine involving cloning, what if, like, I want to say maybe Omega specifically, but it could relate to Omega. Like, what if Palpatine learned something about cloning for them, which he uses later to create all those, clone Snokes in the
Yep.
Empire, the Rise of Skywalker.
Snoke. Honestly, that would be great because it would actually flesh out Snoke's existence. Like Snoke currently is a footnote on the ass of George Lucas. like he is a permanent pain in the ass of every actual
Fumble
Star
the
Wars.
bag.
But so ridiculously bad. It was so terrible. One of the worst things in recent cinematography. But if we actually got like a fleshed out and actually concrete like Snoke origin story somehow through Bad Batch, that would be incredible. I personally think what we're gonna see is maybe a tie-in to Solo's story. I think since we are seeing them becoming we're seeing them becoming smugglers, kind of gun running under the Empire. I see no reason that they can't get worked into the smuggling universe and maybe work adjacent to or with Han Solo.
That makes a lot of sense. All three of these are good. Damn.
Because think about it, they were smuggling spice, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was an entire spice episode, and that's still more or less what they're doing. I mean, obviously, they still haven't come out like diametrically opposed to the Empire. They're not a big fan of it, but they do tend to do like kind of Renaissance odd jobs for the Resistance. So that's more or less like if you're smuggling or you're doing something like that, you're inherently anti-Empire. So that's how I see it going. If I see anyone dying now, I see it being Crosshair. I see Crosshair dying in the next episode to redeem himself, maybe.
And to save the squad from the Empire. Yeah, that makes sense.
Something like that. That's what I see coming personally.
With that being said, do you guys feel that what's the word? That a second season is needed?
I'm not going to say that it's needed. I don't think a second season is needed. I will absolutely watch it and I will enjoy it, but I don't think there's been a large critical reception to Bad Batch because it is a very niche storytelling, like a very neat. It's telling a niche part of a story in a universe that's increasingly becoming more niche as time increases. Like the Star Wars, we talked about it. Like if you were to release Bad Batch in the 90s or the 80s, it would have been the biggest thing out there right now. But Star Wars just doesn't have the pull it used to anymore. And so I think you're telling in a very niche story in an increasingly niche universe. And that's unfortunately not great, but Disney does have the IP and Disney's had the IP forever. And I think that's why it's going to keep going. But I think it's going to become like almost filler material in Disney Plus, unfortunately. And I still think it's really good. And that's why I brought up the question. I was like, why does it have to move the plot forward every single episode? Like we are getting a season 2 and it's a fun story in the Star Wars universe. So that's how I stand on it.
I honestly feel, I like that take. The thing about this is, it's kind of sad in a way because it is a really, really cool way to add flavor and context is a big word that I would say here, to a universe that desperately needs it. So for example, I want to take the parallel of this show in terms of what function it serves. WandaVision. WandaVision did exactly what this show did, but in a more like high profile way. So what WandaVision did is it added context to one of, if not like, one of the most disappointing Marvel films, which was Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is actually a decent movie now because of WandaVision, because you understand everything that goes along with WandaVision. The problem is that Marvel has had a lot of bangers, like back to back to back to back to back. Star Wars, to your point, that not having the same pull that it once had is because the last 3 movies have been like a flip flop, right? It has been like good, like a mixtures of good and bad. So like if for example Rise of Skywalker would have been done with a little bit more care and planning, maybe like you could have had that like that push. Because right now, because I think honestly, and I think we've covered this before, which we should talk about in another episode, like the power of franchises. If you think about it, Star Wars, while it's hush hush right now because Marvel is at the front, the slate for Star Wars is huge coming soon. We have Star Wars anime. We have The Mandalorian season 3.
Which is
We
also
have
awesome.
we have Obi-Wan the series.
Which is
We
great,
have Ahsoka the series.
which is also
we,
needed.
we have Boba Fett series. We have the
Who's
Boba
playing
Fett
Boba
series.
Fett?
The original actor.
No fucking way.
Yeah, we saw. Well,
Good for him.
did you
Yeah.
finish The Mandalorian season 2?
I did. I just always forget it. I just forget.
Okay,
I need
I
to
was like,
rewatch it.
I was like, okay, like I think we pretty much missed a big part of a big part of this.
Yeah, no, it's coming back to me now.
So, like-
I need to rewatch it.
And then you have like a lot of other properties, right? They're talking about bringing in the Old Republic. We obviously have a new Battlefront game that
Starkiller
is still
show.
independent. Yes.
Starkiller, give me a Starkiller
Yes.
show.
And then speaking of video game related, we also have Jedi Fallen Order, which is also getting another entry very soon, which has, in my opinion, one of the most interesting Jedi stories in Cal Kestis that we've seen in a while. So what I do say, all of this is to say that it's okay to have a simple story like Bad Batch that adds context, while Star Wars like basically builds itself back up, licks its wounds, and then punches everybody like in the face with like everything that it has.
What's interesting though is that Star Wars revitalization isn't coming to us in the form of movies. It's coming
Exactly.
as it's TV. Star Wars is probably gonna be for a while now what like carries Disney Plus. That's really what it boils down to is Disney Plus numbers.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. Honestly, I would say COVID is more impactful to like what we are going. If COVID hadn't happened, who knows what we really would be looking at in terms of like releases cinematically.
Oof.
I think we would be so much less focused on TV and like streamable movies, and we would probably be doing our standard, like we would be several movies into Marvel's Phase 4 by now, and we'd all be happy as clams getting a movie every 3 or so months. But now we want that constant roll out of content that we get through being able to stream these big budget TV shows, and I'm not necessarily complaining about it. I think it's actually a move for the better.
I have a question for you guys.
What?
Do you think Star Wars itself lends itself better to movies or TV?
I'm going to be honest with you. I answered a question like this before, but I definitely would say television and
Yeah,
even
I'd say so
some of
too.
the video games do a lot better than cinema. Because
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you, because we already know how we feel about the prequels. We already know how we feel about the sequel
Adore them.
trilogy. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna throw myself under the bus for this one, and it will be controversial.
The prequels are
Even
incredible.
the
Don't let
original
anybody tell you they're
trilogy
not.
is not that great
Oh.
either. A
Mhm.
New
No.
Hope has its own disasters. The only good one out of the original trilogy is The Empire Strikes Back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My
Like it's
favorite
the
movie.
solid one of the three. Even the other two had its own. The first
Yep.
one and the third one had its own problems. And it's funny enough, the prequel trilogy has the opposite problem because the first one was okay, the middle one everybody does not like or is up in the air about, and the third one is just a disaster.
Wait,
But
I would
you're
say
saying-
the first
you're
one is
saying-
good. 7 is good. 8 is the worst. 9 is the second worst, in my opinion.
Oh, out of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I
Sequel
would
trilogy,
say.
yes.
Yeah. The prequels, all 3 are fantastic. Banger, banger, banger. Easy as that. Easy as that. Say what you will. No of the other trilogies, no other trilogy built lore as well as the prequels.
I'm not, and I think this conversation could be worth like its own episode just altogether. But I'm gonna say like Nick, I'm not in total agreement with you because it's Attack of the Clones sucks. Like I always skip Attack of the Clones because it just sucks in general. But I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be like hard for me to say because I am a very, very big Star Wars fan. The prequel trilogy, knowing what we know now, so knowing the story of Darth Maul, knowing all of Rebels, knowing all of the Mandalorian, knowing all of that, the prequel trilogy could put itself in the same category as the original trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because here's the thing, we don't get stories confined within the original trilogy anymore. Everything that we've essentially fleshed out has either happened before the original trilogy or during the prequels. So it's either been in that intermediary space like Rebels is, like Bad Batch is, like Clone Wars is, or Clone Wars is in the gray spaces of the prequels.
Rogue
nothing
One,
ever
Solo, it's all like in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we've never gotten anything in terms of fleshed out in the original trilogy, and certainly not in the sequel trilogies. I personally think I'd say prequels. If I'm taking the universe timeline. I'm taking the prequels timeline and everything that comes along with that before I'm taking the original timeline. Because I think Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie ever made. I think Star Wars lends itself much better to television because there is so much story to be told, and you can't tell it when you're too busy introducing new characters. You know, it's like, oh, this is Rey. Who are Rey's parents? Hey, this is, Rey's love it. This is Kylo Ren. This is, all these people trying to tell their backstories. Like, you can't do that in what is it, 9 collective hours of screen time? You just can't. There's so much story to be told. Luke could have had a way more fleshed out story in the sequel, and he didn't. He was boiled down to Master Roshi, and he was so busy drinking green tit milk that they didn't tell us what happened with him after the events of the original trilogy. It's just, there's so much that you miss in the movies, and that's why I think the TV shows and just the TV format is so much better for Star Wars.
I agree. I would say TV and video games are the ones that have carried, in my opinion, like the Bastion. Well, yeah, the toys. But if you think about it, like, it's sad. It's sad to think about that one of the most, like, probably one of, if not the cinematic event that literally kick-started pop culture in general, just like in general. Because, like, if you think about it, it came out in 72 or 74. I forgot, like, the exact date. 70. The first one? I thought 77 was, well, yeah, it was 77, 80, and then 82, I think. Yeah, the dates don't really matter, but around that time is when, like, you had the Beatles in their prime. You had all, like, rock was in their prime, but, like, there was nothing like cinematic besides Jaws was really the first blockbuster, and then Star Wars came along, which took in, like, the Flash Gordon style space opera and made it just, like, super cool with everything that it had. And, like, the reality is that if you look at them in terms of, like, just movies in general, like, they're not great movies. It's the hero's journey. No. It's just the hero's journey with a lot of extra, like, fantastical elements that make it good.
There's a lot of shiny things glued onto it.
Exactly. But the core of the story is what gravitates, like, what makes people gravitate towards it, because, like, the characters they represent so much. They don't necessarily, like, are a lot, because, I mean, if you think about it, like, Han Solo is just a smuggler. A smuggler that ends up falling, like, for the it's a Stockholm syndrome, but reversed,
more or less.
Yeah. So, like, the reality is that Star Wars in 9 movies, I would say, only has, like, maybe 2.5 good movies, like, good movies out of 9. 2.5. Well, no,
I would say
in 9 movies, like, not counting Rogue One, not counting not counting like, just the core Skywalker saga. I would say 2.5 of the entire saga is, like, I can't miss.
I'm taking nothing from the sequels. I'm taking 3, 4, and 6.
I would take 3, 4. Damn. The thing is, I have my own quarrels with Return of the Jedi. I would say 3, 4, and damn it, 1. 3, 4, and 1.
Misa, Sith Lord. No, that's what you want? Up in your face for the thing is, hours?
I am the type of person that doesn't like to blame the circumstance. Like, I pick and choose the best parts, right? Because that's what we do. That's what we do. And
this is pod racing, baby.
But think about it, bro. Like, if you frame the prequel trilogy around Obi-Wan, everything changes.
Way better.
Yeah, yes. Everything changes. If you frame the entire story of the prequels around Obi-Wan, the prequels is our masterpiece.
There's really no reason not to either. That's the thing. It's not that Obi-Wan's he's not a less compelling character than Darth Vader, technically.
I would say he's even better, bro.
Yeah.
Because how unfortunate that is, that, think about it. Like, we could have had the original trilogy that could have been from the perspective of Luke Skywalker learning about who his father was. And then we could have learned about his father through the lens of someone else, as an Obi-Wan. We don't have to actually be with Anakin per se. We could look at it through Obi-Wan, like, oh, this is how I remember Anakin. This is what he was like. And this is how he fell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now.
I've seen a meme going around recently that Obi-Wan is actually the master of the low ground, which is why he always tricks people into jumping over it. It's like Darth Maul, like Anakin. He's like, actually, he's not the master of the high ground. He's the master of the low ground. That's why he wants people to jump over.
Leverage, baby, leverage.
Exactly. But yes, it was actually 77. Mizu was right.
Okay.
But dude, yeah, honestly, I don't know how we got here, but we always do. We just like cry fancy about like what we want from Star Wars. It's just a bunch of like jaded 25-year-olds who haven't been like weren't even alive when the first like trilogy came out. But yes.
Because there's so much potential that they could have done and yet missed on. Like, why haven't we have yet to get an Old Republic background on those? Like, there's so much things you could have done with that. Like, there's so many characters. Like, there's honestly so many other characters that we could have gotten more interesting things from, but no. And it's funny enough because think about it. You know how long people have been waiting for like to get like a Boba Fett TV show, and now we're technically getting that with the Mandalorian, with the second season coming up for the Mandalorian, or the third season. I'll say like Book of Boba.
Mm-hmm.
And people have been asking for that for a while, and there was actually supposed to be a show for that way back before the Disney merger, but then they canceled it. It was also even supposed to be a video game too, but they also canceled that as well.
Of course. Yeah,
but they're like, there's so much potential, and even here's the thing: you don't even have to do with the even after the fact of during Luke Skywalker and after Luke Skywalker, there are some interesting stories that they could have done, they could have gone with, but didn't. I hate the fact that they scrapped that whole, what's it called? Jane Skywalker, Luke having a daughter.
Oh, Jaina Solo,
of his own, and all that stuff. Ben Skywalker
and Jaina, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like all of them, like that whole storyline could have worked. Clean it up a little bit, but it could have worked. But no, we scrap it all for, don't get me wrong, I still like the characters like Rey and Finn and all of them. It's
Finn
like
should have been a Force user from the jump.
Yes, they should have, but they faked us out with the trailers. They faked us out, making us think that he was going to be the guy
because he was holding a lightsaber. Yeah. If you took Finn out of the sequels, would the movies change?
No, that's the issue.
And the sad thing is, no, because they fumbled him so badly that you take him out, he plays no big role in the movies together. Besides, like the first one, you can take him out of the second one, in the third one, plays no role in it whatsoever. He could have. Someone else could have filled that role.
Yeah, his entire storyline where he goes to the gambling planet, useless. Just everything about his character, useless. Love interest, useless. Doesn't flesh out. I would much rather, instead of making the sequel trilogy, they just gave us episodic like lore building movies, like the background of Boba, like the background of Qui-Gon Jinn, the story of Darth Maul. Put all those things out there. Don't give me another trilogy. I don't need it. Okay. All right. Before we make an entire new episode out of Star Wars talk, you guys wanted to talk a little bit of Weebs Talk Sports, right?
We actually have 2 more stories before we get there.
What?
We can cover them pretty quickly.
No, of course, yes. But I'll take the stage. I know what you want to talk about already.
No. Like we can leave Spider-Man till the end. I actually have a more important one that I actually don't know why I forgot.
More important than Spider-Man?
Yes, Deadpool.
Wow.
We had an interview for Ryan Reynolds this week that I don't know why I didn't mention it in the chat before, but yes, he got interviewed this week, and they asked him, how do you want Disney to introduce Deadpool? And I'll read the quote. So the question was basically with comicbook.com, how he wants the approach of the character now that he's joining the MCU for real, because he's obviously doing press for Free Guy, which is which is actually
comes out soon, right?
Yeah, the preliminary reviews are saying like this is actually cool, like this is actually good, like it's actual gamer culture. Like they have Ninja, they have Pokemon, they have like
it looks
laser
so bad though.
Apparently it's decent. Let's see what happens. But basically,
it looks like, remember Adam Sandler made that movie where all the
pixels.
Pixels. It looks like pixels.
Yeah, makes sense. But basically, they asked Ryan Reynolds whether the hero, meaning Deadpool, should debut in Deadpool 3 or another character's movie. And obviously he can't say like anything because obviously there's like speculation that Taika Waititi is gonna put him in Thor Love and Thunder.
No way.
Yeah, because I mean the first we've seen. We'll cover it. Let me just read the quote.
Okay.
So he said, both options are pretty warranted, meaning Deadpool 3 or another movie. If I think you're always gonna zig when everybody expects you to zag when it comes to this character, as long as Disney is open to doing something pretty wild and divergent with the character, or have some wildly divergent uses of Deadpool, I dig it, man. I think everything would be great. So he said a lot without saying
general.
anything. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say so many words. Nothing.
The thing is that's the main thing. So my theory is that what I've been seeing, based on what I've been seeing online, one, our first official look at Deadpool in the MCU was a trailer for Free Guy where he's interacting with Korg, which is played by Taika Waititi.
Yeah,
Taika Waititi is
that.
the main villain. Taika Waititi is the main villain of Free Guy. They're doing promo together for Free Guy, right?
Oh,
with Ryan Reynolds, and then
okay.
Taika Waititi is directing Thor Love and Thunder.
So you think Deadpool's gonna end up in Thor?
Like in a post-credit scene, or he meets up with Korg or something like that? I think it would be a fun way to like tease him and then bring him in Deadpool 3 like full-fledged. But you can definitely bring him to a movie with Deadpool. But that's what I wanted to ask you guys. How would you rather have Deadpool come in? Like, would you have him have like a huge
Spider-Man.
like entrance? Really?
That's who he's friends with. That's it.
But bro, I mean, we're gonna talk about Spider-Man after this, but like, I mean, pick it first. I'll let you guys talk first.
Go ahead, music.
Oh, my bad. Here's the thing. The one thing I always want, like, if they're willing to do this, honestly, just make him kind of like the new gag Stan Lee character, where we see him throughout movies. Like, he'll just be the one in the background. Like, you imagine
love that.
Like, think about it. Like, can you imagine if I'm trying to think, like a scene, like they have a whole fight scene, something like that, and we see Deadpool in the background, like on the bench, like, oh man, that was weird, or something like that, like
eating popcorn,
or doing something related to the film, and let's just go away, kind of like how Stan Lee did.
There's no reason for him not to either, and he could do fourth wall breaks.
And on top of that, imagine with those kind of little cameo appearances, on top of having his own movie, he could also make references like, oh yeah, I remember when Ant-Man did this thing, and like,
yeah,
like it could work that way.
No, you're on to something. I actually changed my answer. I'm taking Mizu's. That's fucking perfect. That's it right there. That's perfect. I want him to show up in Spider-Man because, I mean, Spider-Man and Deadpool are friends, but like they've talked about the age difference making it weird, and they're not wrong. But that's where you get the other Spider-Mans, like maybe Tobey Maguire and Ryan Reynolds are friends. Like that would be cool. But no, my answer is now Mizu's. What's yours?
I would say, dude, I feel like I want at least with Deadpool, I'm scared because I want Deadpool to be R-rated. Like I want Deadpool, and I think they're pretty.
You think it won't be?
No. So let me explain. So Deadpool is not a cookie cutter character. He can be because you can make like video games of him. You can make him into like obviously like a TV show. There's other versions of Deadpool that are funny and cool without it being just like a throwaway, right? Just like having Deadpool like and not being Deadpool. I want the character to be at its like apex. Like it was in the first movie. Like he was funny, unapologetic. He made jokes. He made crude jokes, and everybody loved it. Like that was the first movie.
Got torn in half by Juggernaut.
Yeah, like and the second one was like all right, but I think
it was great. We talking about.
It was good. It was good, but it was in like the first one. So I was gonna say Deadpool 3 has some pretty big shoes to fill, right? Because if it's a banger, it's probably one of the best superhero trilogies that we've seen. Like just encapsulating a character in itself in a contained storyline. The issue that I have is that once you put him in like PG-13 movies and like interacting with Captain America, interacting with X, Y, and Z, like there's a very like fine line that you have to like tag in order to keep it Disney happy, right?
Here's the thing: you get one fuck in PG-13 movies, right?
Yeah.
So you're only allowed to say it once. So I think that's kind of like a big thing for him. Like if you throw like it's like a built-in punchline. Like somebody or like someone else says it before him, and he's like it's like a fourth wall break, and he's like, "Are you kidding?" Like that kind of thing. He's like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yes,
Like,
that'd be so hilarious that he acknowledges, like, "Okay, well, hey guys, we got a little like we got a little more Disneyfied, so I can't say a certain word, but I'm gonna use it when it's a perfect
Really
moment."
important.
And then we find, and then someone else does it, and he looks so pissed off, like, "Are you serious?" Like,
are you
like
kidding?
Supersonic Nega Warhead says it, and he's like, "I am going to slap the taste out of your mouth," like something like that. Like that would be really, really funny. But like they've also shown, the thing is, the reason that they made the Deadpool Christmas story is so they could prove that they could do the PG-13 with Deadpool and make it still fun. And that did well. It did really well, actually. So I think they've already done a test market showing. But like I think that was them kind of showing their hand, being like, "Hey, he's coming to Disney." And because of that, like you just, I think yes, you can throw him into a Spider-Man movie, and it's not going to hinder his performance.
I agree. I think it might be cool to see. And obviously, like, I'm all for the Spidey Pool fanfic is also amazing.
Oh yeah,
dude, I love Spider-Man and Deadpool, bro. Like that just like sounds perfect. And now that the Spider-Verse could be a thing, I'm happy for it. And
since we're talking about it,
let's move on to the last superhero story of the day that I think Mizu and I will be delighted to share with you, Mr. Nick, is that we had some merch leaks for Spider-Man No Way Home. We have no trailer, but we have merch. So there are, if you look at the chat, because we're in Zoom, insight into what we do on a daily over here at Weekly.
Yep.
We have a lot
soon.
We have a lot of t-shirts, right? So apparently there's going to be multiple suits. I believe, Mizu, correct me if I'm wrong, there's like 4 suits confirmed or 3?
I'll say 4.
4 suits. So we have 4 suits in different like color schemes, different colorways, different like poses, and we also have the confirmation, basically, by putting them both in the same in the same t-shirt and the same designs, that Doctor Strange is not going to be just like a throwaway character. Like, this movie is basically a team up of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man doing something with the multiverse. And the biggest thing that I kind of fucked up with is that the black suit that he has, the black and gold suit, is not the anti-Ox suit. It is actually a cosmic suit, meaning
it's magic.
It's a magical
science, right?
suit. So, Mizu, what were your first takes with the reveals, with this, with the leaks and such?
Well, the one I did like that stood out for me the most, in my opinion, actually has to be the shirts where they're saying, "We stand with Mysterio."
Yeah.
So, with that being said, because if y'all don't remember, for the audience sake, at the end, the cutscene at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, it shows that Mysterio leaked out his secret identity. And now basically all of New York knows that he's Spider-Man, which is a cool cameo from, J.K. Simmons playing, reprising his role as Joe Jonah Jameson. So, but there are t-shirts saying that we stand with Mysterio. That means, I guess there might be a possible plot where some people believe it, some people don't. That's like, oh, this is random. Some people might believe that, oh yeah, because think about it, no one really knows Spider-Man like that. And like the idea like that, like, is it an actual freaking child who's been around here freaking flipping and running around saving the day? Like, and there's somebody like, nah, I don't buy it, or someone like, no, I think it's legit. Like Mysterio, and plus also got to remember, no one knows that Mysterio was a bad guy. Everybody still thought that he was a hero. Like, he was a
killing
hero.
elementals.
Exactly, killing elementals and threats that were messing with the European countries. So a lot of people don't know that he was originally, like, he was actually a messed up individual trying to get clout, pretty much,
more or less.
And he got the last laugh, like, oh yeah, here's some more clout. I exposed Spider-Man, dips out in death. Like, but I think that part's pretty interesting. The suits, I'm wondering, because I guess some people are speculating that Spider-Man has kind of taken the mantle of being Iron Man, which I kind of personally disagree with. like I'm not a big fan of, or I'll say,
Yeah.
because I mean, there's already another character they're going to be introducing who could be the new Iron Man or the Iron Woman, Riri Williams. Look her up. But the different types of suits that he's having and ones that's magical, I can't really think of a time where Peter like used magic like that. But we are getting a what if episode involving, because we see a kind of a trailer or teaser of Spider-Man wearing Doctor Strange's cloak.
Yeah.
So
he's the zombie.
You never
hunter.
know.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think probably it'll have to play with Mysterio's like disappearance or something. Like with him being defeated at the end of the last movie, and maybe possibly like dying, I think, right?
No, he died.
So,
he got framed for his death on top of that too.
Yeah. So I think we stand with Mysterio thinks is going to be an anti-Spider-Man message, being like Mysterio was a good guy and Spider-Man killed him, that kind of thing. Which would definitely be an interesting plot line. And it would be cool, like kind of talking about like messaging, and I guess like how it can be packaged to be like really like deadly to people, like even like to the detriment of their own selves. So I think that'll be interesting. As for the suits, I mean, I don't know a ton about it. I think it looks cool. Like magic and science is cool, I guess. It's like it's what is it? It's like intelligent design, more or less. So, like, hey, some things are too complicated to not be magic, which is bullshit. But it's definitely gonna be interesting, and I think it's very cool. But besides that, like, I don't know. I know way less than you. I'm not scrolling those forums like you do, Jose.
No, yeah, I just meant that like I think it is cool because they're adding the element of they're doing so much with this movie, because we already know that Daredevil's gonna show up in the movie. Like the man, I forgot the actor's name. He's confirmed to be in the movie, and like what people have speculated is that he's gonna be Spider-Man's lawyer in like a trial to like disprove his like that he's not a murderer or whatever. That's like the main theory, that like, oh, that's how they bring Daredevil into the MCU. But yeah, just wanted to get your opinions because I thought that was cool. But yeah, we covered basically everything in the Marvel weebdom. So if you want, we can cover the weebs in sports and call it a day, gents.
Yeah, let's do it. I saw this I want to bring up because you talked about Daredevil. I saw this really funny TikTok. I forget who it was who did it. And it was a guy being like, I love that like Daredevil is a devout Catholic when he's met gods. Like he's literally met like Moon Knight, and he's met Thor, and he's met like all these other gods, and it's like how you've met everyone but your own. You haven't met Jesus yet. Like he's like, oh, we'll see what happens when we die, and he's like, we've both died before. Very funny, really good stuff. But yes, we want to talk weeb sports. What's going on, Jose?
The biggest thing that I saw from the entire week, that it is the first time that it's been big enough to actually like dedicate a whole like mini segment to it, is the fact that Lionel Messi just left Barcelona. So for the audience that might not be,
it's Barcelona.
Barcelona, yes,
there
indeed.
We go. Thank you.
So for those of you that don't know, or that might not be, or that might see it from time to time whenever it comes up, Lionel Messi, along with Cristiano Ronaldo, are two of the most famous human beings alive, first of all, and two of the best athletes to ever grace this beautiful green planet called Earth. Technically blue, but yes, mostly blue. But the big thing about this is the fact that Messi has been with Barcelona for over 20 years. He went to Spain when he was 13 years old.
Oh, I was going to say.
With a growth deficiency problem, and the club basically helped him and his family like bear through his treatment and see if the investment was worth the shot. And he has arguably become one of the best footballers in history, and one of the best athletes in history, along with his like rival, who is also equally as great, Cristiano Ronaldo. So he's been with this club his entire life, right? And the club has done the equivalent of basically, I'm going to put this in NBA terms so everybody is aware. Imagine having Michael Jordan around the time of like the late 90s. So like right 96. In his, like at the edge of his prime, right? At the edge of his prime, about to taper off. And you basically decided for those 6 years that you were like in his, like, this is when he needs to win and win a lot and stuff. You start like paying role players. You buy players that not necessarily bring a lot to the team, or that could be stars, but you could have gotten bigger stars to help him and restructure the team. And you basically neglect him for 6 years. And now the club is in a really bad financial standing. So they both got into a contract agreement, and the league has some financial stipulations because of financial fair play and other things that have not been fully disclosed. That the league itself, imagine the NBA saying, "Nah, fam, he can't sign with you anymore. You gotta find a new team." So essentially, you have one of the best players in history as a free agent, and the team that is apparently about to sign him is the team that has been poaching the big stars away from the other big clubs around Europe, which is Paris Saint-Germain, which is the Paris club, the PSG.
So it's not
Real.
America.
What do you mean?
He's not old enough to come to the MLS yet, is what you're trying to tell me?
So the speculation was that he was going to sign a 4-year contract and then move to David Beckham's team in Miami. That was the speculation. Yeah.
They're going to pay him so much money.
And if he does move to Miami at some point, they're going to pay him the big bucks, bro.
He's going to make $1 billion. Yeah. He's going to make $1 billion. I kid, like probably $1 billion. Because like the amount of like the Cuban, like Hispanic population down there, like you would do numbers. You would do, to see Messi play. It would. I mean, they did it with the guy from Liverpool.
Steven Gerrard.
Steven Gerrard was like one of the first people to do it, to come to the MLS in the latter years. And they paid him $1 billion. Then
they had Pirlo in New York. They had David Villa in New York. Ibrahimovic went to LA and actually like did like numbers there too. So it's pretty plausible that he comes to the US, and if he does, I think it'll be great for sports in general, because like obviously besides football, right, which is like the world game, most of the big sports leagues are in the US, right? Or that's where that's where most of the best of the world's athletes go to compete and prove themselves, right? In the NBA and the MLB, etc. So it'd be cool to see. I thought it was worth mentioning because it is huge in world news, because this is probably one of the most famous individuals on planet Earth. So yeah, thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, if you guys
Tom Brady
have anything, exactly. So if you guys have anything else, we can cover it. If not, we can leave it for the next one.
That is all I got.
Well, I was going to mention the fact of, so I was talking to you guys earlier about it. So in the karate martial arts department of the Olympics, I unfortunately do not know the two individuals who were fighting each other's names, but pretty much the gist of it is that they were, fighting. One of the opponent went down because he thought that he was going to jab, and he kicked thinking that he was going to kick him in his abdomen because he didn't expect him to go down, and he ended up kicking him in the face, knocking him out. Now, here's the reason why it's a big deal. It's because, one, the person who won the gold medal was the person who got knocked out, because the Olympic Committee considered his kick too hard. Therefore, he got basically disqualified, and the person who got knocked out won the gold medal. And the part that's interesting about this is that
upwards.
The part that is interesting about this is that it opened up the conversation of like, some people there's like two sides of the fence when it comes to martial arts in the Olympics. Like one side just like, oh, it's kind of cool to watch. The other side just like, it's kind of a joke because the rules don't make sense. Because like, so how are you gonna, because some people are just like, how are you gonna disqualify someone from doing what martial arts is? Like, it's a point. Like, you're supposed to take each other down and stuff like that. And some people are thinking that it's relevant because if you think about it, with Simone Biles' scores are purposely minimized because she can do things that no other gymnast can. Therefore, they're just like, okay, to make it fair, we're going to like minimize your scores.
What is this fucking participation trophy bullshit? All right, fuck that. Simone Biles can throw her body in more directions than anybody else. She should fucking win. All right, I'm sorry. You want to beat Simone Biles? Try and do the shit she does. Fucking god damn it.
So yeah, and they're bringing that up with him, like, oh, this guy literally has been killing it, and honestly, this one wasn't even purposeful either. like he didn't mean to actually kick him in the head like that.
Yeah, it was an accident.
And plus, like in most martial arts, like, yeah, you're supposed to knock your opponent down.
Ideally,
huh?
Ideally, yeah.
But now he got to stay. And plus, like, I hate to say, I felt bad for the guy who got knocked out because think about it, you won the gold medal not because you beat your opponent, you won by default, pretty much. Like you won because you got knocked out,
got your ass beat,
and you got the gold medal. Like this, just how wrong that sounds.
Oh,
like,
imagine, wait, there's a movie here. There's a movie here. You go to the Olympics. Let's say you're from a small country. You're from like Uzbekistan or something like that. Uzbekistan's actually massive. That's a really bad choice. But actually, I think the guy who won is literally from Uzbekistan. But instead of actually fighting, he just gets knocked out every single round. All right? It's a comedy movie. All right? Put all the comedy actors from like the early 2010s in, and it's just a dude getting knocked out until he gets gold. Genius. That's a movie.
I'm not gonna lie, that would be low-key messed up, but low-key really hilarious because it would be a satire on it. Because here's the one thing I want people to understand is that like no one's really mad at the Olympians at all. Like it's more of like the Olympic Committee sometimes just does that kind of fuckery. Like, okay, y'all are picking and choosing and it's not adding up. Like some of you are kind of playing favorites to a point, and it just makes them look bad. Especially with the stuff that was going on with like Simone Biles and then what's it called, Sha'Carri Richardson.
When there's literally like white female athletes like advertising how they use weed products for recovery and all these things, and it's like, first off, weed makes you slower. All right, nobody has ever smoked a joint and then wanted to be the fastest.
I'll say that weed is more of a disadvantage than an advantage.
The fact that she qualified smoking weed should medal her in the first place. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. It's dumb. But also, Asia has very, very strong anti-drug rules, and technically, she did break the rules. But it's dumb.
Yeah, technically, within the sense of it, yeah, she was wrong. But it's like you would think that they would just be a little bit more open-minded going on the future from this incident to go on. But yeah, the last thing I want to say is I don't know if y'all been catching up with so. You won't believe who's the biggest people right now in the Olympics. And I'll tell you this, neither one of them are Olympians. Is Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg hosting the Olympics.
Fantastic.
I'm not gonna lie, I never saw it coming, but that shit is hilarious. Watching them,
Snoop Dogg being like, I be
NBC had this was the bold move from NBC, getting these two. And mind you, it's so unfiltered. It's not like they have to watch what they say. They will be sitting here like, oh man, what the fuck is she doing? Like stuff like that. Like they are cursing, they're saying all kinds of shit.
Snoop is wide open.
For real. And I'm just sitting here like, NBC like greenlit this? Like,
and it's the best thing. It's the best thing ever that they've done in Peacock.
It's so hilarious that some people are actually wanting them to be part of the Winter Olympics to see what they're gonna do. And honestly opens the question.
I would love to see them try to commentate like snowboarding, skiing. Oh my god, that would be so fun.
And they also interview they also even interview Olympians because they had one episode where they were like interviewing Michael Phelps, and Kevin Hart's trying to show off how he has a good butterfly to swim, and Michael Phelps calls him out like, I think you're wearing flippers, my dude. And he said, hey, don't focus on that right now. Just look at my arm. Look at the technique of my arms. Like, and
don't focus on the bad. Focus on the good. All right. It's like the Kevin Hart.
But it also begs the question of like, I love them, but can you imagine if there was like every so often when we have the Olympics, they just pick two celebrities who have good chemistry and they just host the Olympics. Like, can you imagine like Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth were doing
Ryan
the Olympics?
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds and Taika Waititi,
or like Hugh Jackman,
or
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman would be incredible.
Dude,
John Cena and The Rock,
Snoop and Kevin, like it's a dope combo.
They're gonna get a TV show out of it. Honestly,
should. If him and Martha Stewart got one, definitely Kevin Hart and Snoop should get one.
So good. But yes, all right. That is gonna do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for popping in for another week of the Weeb Weekly. We're happy to have you here. Thank you for all the downloads. We made a big switch over to the Believe Network, so that's why you see a little bit of branding on us. You're gonna start hearing a couple ads coming your way, hopefully. And besides that, nothing really is going to change. You can find us in the same old places that you usually find us. And I've been Nixie Comedy on TikTok, NCHammer23 on Twitch. Going to be a full-time streamer as of August 16th, baby. It's my job. And NCHammer23 on YouTube. Jose.
I gotta say, I gotta give a big props to my man. You finally did it, man. Very
I made it out.
congratulatory. Yes, you made it out. Made it
I
out.
made it out of the suburbs. Wow.
We will
truly
follow
inspirational
along
story.
shortly, hopefully, maybe.
My heart's
Let's hope so. But you can find me at the Tropical Joe on Twitch and Twitter, and you can find me at I'm Tropical Joe on TikTok and Instagram. And speaking of Instagram, that is where we will be polling the winner of the Stack 'em
Yes.
Up. That is where I will be putting all three polls. What is the best superhero movie of all time? And then what was I forgot the one for last week. What was the one for last week?
Who deserves part 2?
Oh,
what
Second
franchise
chance, pretty
deserves
much.
a second
Yeah,
chance?
who deserves
okay.
second chance?
Okay. We'll go over that in post. But yes, go over to my Instagram page by tomorrow morning, and you shall be voting on what the best superhero movie of all time is. But before that, before we get there, Mizu, where can they find you?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Just want to let y'all know I finally did it. I did it to the best of my ability, and I explained the power system of Nen.
Yes.
Go check it out.
It's not easy.
I only
to do.
got 3 minutes, and I did it the best I could. So I plan on doing a little bit more with it, but hey, it's the best summary in my opinion on TikTok.
There's so much going on with Nen. I can't say
what I was able to do.
Half of the strongest people in Hunter x Hunter don't even have Nen abilities. Aluka doesn't. Meruem doesn't. It's weird. But yeah,
Go check that out.
Do it. All right. Thanks for checking in again, guys. And we are going to kick it to the outro.